records. So now I've got all of your beautiful smiling faces here, so that'll make a good thumbnail for the video. I don't know why it didn't record last time, but here we are in the third text of this Nectar of Devotion. So can you see that, everybody?
Yep.
Okay. Alyssa, since you're first on, why don't you read the first paragraph?
Sure. If one strictly follows the advice given in this verse by Srila Rupa Goswami, namely being enthusiastic, being confident, being patient, giving up the association of unwanted persons, following the regulative principles, and remaining in the association of devotees, one is sure to advance in devotional service. In this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura remarks that the cultivation of knowledge by philosophical speculation, the collection of mundane opulence by the advancement of fruitive activities, and the desire for yoga siddhis, material perfections, are all contrary to the principles of devotional service. One has to become thoroughly callous to such non-permanent activities and turn his attention instead to the regulative principle of devotional service. According to Bhagavad Gita 2.69, can I try?
Go ahead.
Yanisa sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sanisa pasyato muneha.
Go ahead and read the translation.
What is night for all beings is the time of awakening and for the self-controlled. And the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage.
Yeah, that's a great verse because, like when we get up in the morning, and devotees get up at like 5 in the morning. My wife gets up at 4:30 because she works like too much. But we have to get to bed early. But we're just old people. 9 o'clock is a new midnight for us. You can't start a movie after 8 o'clock. But it's funny because the time we go to bed, 9 o'clock, everybody's going down to Carson Street partying. So it's just exactly the opposite. What's time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. Hemang, go ahead and read the
Yep.
engagement.
Yep. All right. Engagement in the devotional service of the Lord is the life and soul of the living entity. It is the desired goal and supreme perfection of human life. One has to become confident about this, and one also has to be confident that all activities other than devotional service, such as mental speculation, fruitive work, or mystic endeavor, will never yield any enduring benefit. Complete confidence in the path of the devotional service will enable one to attain his desired goal. But let me see here.
Attempting.
Where was I?
Att-
But
attempting to follow other paths.
oh, there you go. I lost track.
Yeah.
Yep, right. But attempting to follow other paths will only succeed in making one restless. In the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, one must be calmly convinced that those who have given up devotional service to engage in severe austerities for other purposes are not purified in their minds, despite their advanced austerities, because they have no information of the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Wow.
Yeah, some people are very, very austere, like you've seen the bed of nails. You ever heard of that? Like some yogis will sleep on a bed of nails or but whatever, they perform severe austerities, but their hearts become hard because they're not really connected to Krishna consciousness. They're not serving Krishna. So let me just read the next paragraph here. It is further stated in the 10th canto, although mental speculators and fruitive actors may perform great austerities and penances, they still fall down because they do not have information about the lotus feet of the Lord. You were asking about the lotus feet last week, right?
Yeah.
The lotus feet,
Yeah, serving the lotus feet. Yeah, tell me about that.
well, Krishna's feet, Lord Nityananda, we were just talking about him.
Hmm.
The lotus feet of the Lord are just a very firm meditational object because his feet are so nectar. I mean, we're attached to the feet of the spiritual master, and he's attached to his spiritual master's lotus feet. And we're all, but we're worshiping Krishna's feet. And it says that the feet of Lord Nityananda are more cooling than millions of moons. The moon has a cooling effect,
Hmm.
but the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are so blissful and perfect that the devotee doesn't want to think of anything else.
Hmm.
So the feet of Krishna we worship the feet of Krishna. In fact, Lord Brahma, you know, and in Uddhava, he went to go see the gopis in Vrindavan. And Lord Brahma said, I don't really even want to, I just want to be a blade of grass. He's the supreme engineer of this universe. He's the first created living entity. But he desired to be a blade of grass in Vrindavan so that the gopis could trample on him and maybe put the dust of their feet on his head. Isn't that sweet? So
Yeah.
he's the supreme person. He said, like a lot of people, because Brahma was completely bewildered by Krishna because he tried to steal his cowherd boys and cows just to test his mystic power. And Krishna duplicated all of them. And, Lord Brahma was so flabbergasted that he said, a lot of people think they know about Krishna. As far as I'm concerned, I don't even want to talk about it. So he was like,
Yep. I remember that very well, Prabhuji.
yeah, he was completely dumbfounded by Krishna. It was like he was trying to compare his mystic power, which is like a firefly, compared to Krishna's mystic power, which is like the sun. There's no comparison. So even though Krishna was just like a little cowherd boy, only 5 years old, with a lump of yogurt and uh, um, prasad in his hand, with like a sweet ball, he was just he was saying like, Brahma, what do you want? He was kind of not even paying attention to him, but he is the supreme personality of Godhead, even in that childhood form. And Lord Brahma realized that, and he realized his mistake, and so then he became a little humble. Krishna has a way of making everyone humble, because we think we know so much, we have so much mystic power, we have so much knowledge, we have so much ability, but Krishna is the source of all that ability. So we have to give props to him to recognize where it all comes from. All right, I'll continue here. The devotees of the Lord, however, never fall down. In the Bhagavad Gita 9:31, the Supreme Personality of Godhead assures Arjuna, Kuntiya pratijanihi nama bhakti panasiti. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Now, why did he tell Arjuna to say that? Do you know, Hemang?
Okay, I was trying to find where you were. The Supreme Personality
He
of
assures Arjuna,
Kunti.
you declare it boldly. He told Arjuna to declare it himself, for Arjuna to declare it, because sometimes Krishna breaks his word. He broke his word when he said that he wouldn't fight in the Battle of
Oh,
Kurukshetra.
yeah. And then he
He
took up
said,
the wheel,
and
chariot wheel against
yeah,
Bhishma Dhamma.
against Bhishma. And so therefore, the devotee never tells a lie. So he asked Arjuna to, you say it, my devotee will never perish. And so that
Uh,
is a double insurance. And again in Bhagavad Gita 240, Krishna says, Neha Bikramana Sushti Prativayo Nividite Swapamasya Pyasya Dharmasya Tahete Mahatobayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. You know what the most dangerous type of fear is?
uh, ignorance.
Fear of death?
No, it's actually falling down into the animal species of life
I
because then
knew that.
you don't have the ability to understand who Krishna is anymore. You can't read the Srimad Bhagavatam. You can't read the Nectar devotion because animals are just doing what their nature is. And so they can't understand the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Nectar devotion. So that is the most dangerous type of fear because the devotee doesn't want to forget Krishna in any circumstance. So go ahead, Alyssa, and read devotional service is so pure.
Sure. Devotional service is so pure and perfect that once having begun, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. Sometimes a person will give up his ordinary material engagements and, out of sentiment, take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, and thus begin the preliminary execution of devotional service. Even if such an immature devotee falls down, there is no loss on his part. On the other hand, what's the gain of one who executes the prescribed duties according to his varna and ashrama, but does not take to devotional service? Although a fallen devotee may take his next birth in a low family, his devotional service will nonetheless resume from where it left off. Devotional service is Haituki Apratihata.
Exactly.
Okay. It is not the effect of any mundane cause, nor can it be terminated by any mundane cause or permanently curtailed by any material interruption. Therefore, a devotee should be confident about his engagement and should not be very interested in the activities of the karmis, gyananis, and yogis.
Yeah, devotional service is like a unlimited bank account. Whatever you do in this life, even if you don't complete, see, and when you're a karmi or jnani or yogi, you have to actually finish your activity and complete it. Otherwise, it's useless. But a devotee, whatever he does in this life, he picks up, like if you do 1%, in your next life, you pick up at 2%. And it accrues to your eternal bank account. So therefore, you can always, it's like there's no loss or diminution. And a little advancement can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. This means that Krishna will drag you back to his feet again. Go ahead.
So the Gyananis, those are the philosophical speculators, right?
Yeah, they're trying to figure out what Krishna is through philosophical speculation.
Okay, so that's like the people who like maybe have like a PhD in religious studies but have no like heart-centered devotional relationship to Krishna.
Yeah, they're not really surrendered. They're just trying to figure out, like, there's a certain class of devotee, a certain class of gyanis that are trying to um, understand what the truth is based on the process of elimination. It's called neti neti. The neti means not this, not that. Okay, what is the soul? Okay, if is my soul the hand? If my hand is cut off, then I'm still the same person. So it's not the hand, and they just go this and that and the other thing, and they go through it neti 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 until they finally come to the ultimate source of everything, who is and when Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that one after many many births, one understands that Krishna is the cause of all causes, then one surrenders to Krishna. Such a great soul is very rare. So ultimately, all these different paths can lead to Krishna consciousness, but you don't want to be sidetracked on all these different paths because they're materially motivated. The
Yeah.
Gyanis want knowledge, the Karmis want fruitive rewards, like they perform various sacrifices that are recommended in the Vedas.
Right.
in order to get a heavenly birth or whatever, or a wife or whatever. And then, they want something out of devotional service, but that's kind of like a business relationship. Business relationship means I do you I scratch your back, you scratch mine, but that's not really love. Love means uninterrupted, unmotivated devotional service, and it's the cause of that service is attraction to Krishna's message. If you're attracted to his feet and his message and his qualities and his activities and his devotees and his paraphernalia or whatever else is, his name, especially his name and his scriptures, his word, then you're naturally attracted. And so then the devotional service, you start out in the regulated platform, you try to practice these things. Get up in the morning, bathe, practice, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, read the books, and try to think about Krishna all day by turning those instructions in your mind and connecting with Krishna in the heart. Krishna's in everyone's heart as a super soul. And so when you read the books and you listen to a spiritual master, that's like the external manifestation of what you should be doing. And because nobody should actually be engaged in anything else other than activities and things that are related to Krishna that help one develop an attraction for his message. Because every other thing in the material world that's not connected with Krishna is a useless waste of time because it doesn't lead to attraction to Krishna. Krishna consciousness and attraction to Krishna is the ultimate goal of life because then you can start on the path back to Godhead. Attraction turns into taste. Or first you have a taste for hearing about Krishna. You have a taste for serving his lotus feet, a taste for remembering him, a taste for hanging out with devotees like we're doing. And devotees like to discuss Krishna's pastimes together. And Krishna says, where there are two or, in the Bible, it says, where there are two or more of them gathered there in my name, there I am in the midst of them. So all religions are basically the same. And so we have to practice these things. And when we get attracted, we develop an attachment, and the attachment turns into you think Krishna is mine. He's my Lord. It becomes personal. And then that attraction becomes steady, and that steady attraction and service it just morphs into pure love of God. And then you're on the eternal platform. That is the goal of life. So it's a gradual process, but it starts from regulated activities and controlling the mind and senses. And that is practice of, you know, what we're doing now, hearing and chanting and remembering Krishna. So, Hemang, do you want to read the next verse here?
Yep.
There are certainly many good qualities.
Yep. There are certainly many good qualities among fruitive actors, philosophical speculators, and mystic yogis. But all but all good qualities automatically develop in the character of a devotee. No extraneous endeavor is needed, as confirmed by Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 18, Verse 12. All the good qualities of the demigods manifest progressively in one who has developed pure, not in any material activity. It is not emanated. He is immediately situated on the platform transcendental life. However, one who engages in activity,
Hey, Mark,
yeah,
you're cutting out.
Yeah, your signal is not too good there, Prabhuji. But anyway, I'll just read the rest of this
or
paragraph.
was that cutting out?
Yeah, you're cutting out on your. How far are you
Okay.
away from your Wi-Fi antenna?
Um, Only a few feet.
Huh, that's weird.
Yeah. It's like the signal bars are like full too on it says on my phone shows.
Are you connected to Wi-Fi?
Uh yes. Yep.
If you're connected to Wi-Fi, it should be okay. But anyway, we'll just go on here. Um, you left off. We started breaking up when you said transcendental life, so I'll finish that sentence. However, one who engages in mundane activity, be he a so-called jnani, karmi, yogi, philanthropist, nationalist, or whatever, cannot attain the higher stage of Mahatma. Mahatma means great soul. He remains a Duratma, or cripple-minded person. According to Bhagavad Gita 9:13, Manatmanastamam parta divim prakritimastita, bhajanti ananya manaso yatva bhutadim aviyam. O son of Prita, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. So, why don't you read the last paragraph here, Alyssa?
O
And
son of Prita.
yes, since all the devotees of the Lord,
Since all the devotees of the Lord are under the protection of his supreme potency, they should not deviate from the path of devotional service and take to the path of the karmi jnani or yogi. This is called utsahan nischaya dhairyat tat tat karma pravartanat, enthusiastically executing the regulative activities of devotional service with patience and confidence. In this way, one can advance in devotional service without hindrance.
I would think that you would be like a perfect candidate for a spelling bee contest or something. You pronounce everything
Oh,
so nicely, and it's
Like
very,
perfectly.
yeah,
Very
yeah.
good Sanskrit.
Even
Sanskrit.
singing the song, the devotees sing different melodies when they chant the Sanskrit, and you're doing that very well.
oh, thank you. I have a lot of modeling from the Monday night Zoom with the Indian devotees
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Mars
Ah,
yeah. They have a
PA
Monday night
area.
Gita Zoom.
Hmm?
They have a Gita broadcast on Mondays.
It's Gita, but now we're done. We finished Gita a couple of months ago, and now we're on Srimad Bhagavatam. And Shamsundar models a lot of the Sanskrit shlokas for
Yeah,
us. And I'm the only Westerner really in that whole group, so I hear their pronunciation. And I'm also a speech pathologist, so I
you're a whatologist?
a speech pathologist.
Oh, pathologist. Oh, okay. I didn't know.
I'm a speech pathologist as a profession. So I, make an effort to look at words and try
Yeah.
to hear
Well,
and
it's really
pronounce.
important. We have to look at these words. Every single word in the Vedic language, and especially the Sanskrit, is packed with meaning. They're not really ordinary words. They're actually the aphorisms. An aphorism means it's like connected to the spiritual world, and it has a dynamic. Krishna says, Vedanta vid eva chaham. I am the compiler and the knower and the of the Vedas. And he wrote the Vedas, and no other person can claim to write any scripture unless it's under the jurisdiction of the original source, who is Krishna. Vedas are coming from Krishna,
Yeah.
and so um, you can't like make up something like Tom Cruise, with the Hubbard guy. He might be a good actor, but that's completely made up uh, bogus religion. The what do you call it? The
Church
Hubbard Scientologist
Scientology.
or whatever.
Yeah, they're all over LA.
I know when I was in LA, I hitchhiked all the way across the United States. I ended up in LA and they snagged me off the street and they did this test on me. It's like
Yeah,
they're always trying to like get new recruits.
I know.
But does anybody have any questions? We're gonna have to wrap it up here because it's almost 6:45.
Oh no, I don't have any questions. I guess if you have any good resources about I mean, just maybe like helping people, like me trying to overcome these like weird kind of like arguments about Prabhupada being, anti-woman and like all this other stuff, whatever you think would be good for me, I'll read it, I'll watch it.
Yeah,
I
I have a really good video for you, and I might
Okay.
even be able to send you my original. Um, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago in New Vrindavan. I was reading this book by one of the other Goswamis. Rupa Goswami wrote this book, but one of the other Goswamis was Raghunath Das Goswami, and he wrote a book called Shrimana Shiksha, and it was like an instruction to the mind. He was like talking to his mind, and the third verse of that book was very instructive. And one of the Russian gurus gave a purport to that verse, and he was talking about, maybe I'll send you the script to his, because he really explained it very nicely about Jahnavi. Jahnavi, the guru of the Lord Chaitanya's movement 500 years ago. It's pretty amazing that Lord Chaitanya is very, very. He didn't have nothing was. It's become perverted. The whole caste system and the whole bodily identification
Sure.
that discriminates. This is women are supposedly less intelligent or this or that. Everybody is a spirit soul, and Jahnavi was guru of the entire movement. And you're talking about all the Goswamis and all the disciples of the Lord Chaitanya. So obviously, women are qualified to lead if they are qualified. It's based on qualification, not by birth, not
Right.
by the body.
Right.
But anyway, I'll send that stuff to you. Be glad.
Do you have my Facebook link? I think
I don't think I do actually. You're in this. Are you in this chat?
no, I'm not in your chat at all. Like I
Let me get your phone
Oh.
number. I'll send it to, or your
Okay.
email address.
Yeah, I'll I'll put it in the chat. So this is my email address.
You put it in the chat of the. Oh, okay. Of the. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I've got it now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't I let me make it clear. I've tried to talk to other, devotees about this, and I think that, I think I'm in a decent place about it. I don't feel angry or upset when I read these things, but like I just I don't
You
know.
have
Like,
some doubts, about what Prabhupada. Prabhupada. He grew up in India, and he might have learned some things in the Scottish Church's college that he was uh,
um,
a member of, and that were talking about women and their brain substance not being as big as
yeah,
men's, and he would repeat that and stuff.
yeah,
But that has nothing to do with devotional service. And, the women are very physiologically different than men. That's obvious. Men have, a stronger body mostly, but women can also play in sports and probably kick some ass. Because the today is Pride, the beginning of Pride Month, and I consider I have like a coexist flag in front of our Kirtan Center here. It's got a rainbow flag, and I have a little thing on the side of the photograph on the banner of the Kirtan flag. It says DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And which is they're actually defunding various schools now in states that have that. I mean, it's really horrible what they're doing. You know what?
yeah. They're starting to revoke Indian student visas and
Or,
Chinese
no,
student.
my friend from New Vrindavan, my political guru, he's actually only a bhakta. His name is Stephen Reel. He's a very famous photographer, a war photographer who behind the scenes in in the wars, like in the Baltic states back in the 90s. He was
Mhm.
an undercover war photographer. He knows everything about politics and he knows exactly what's going on in the world. And he's kind of like my Vedic, my political guru. But he was telling me today about how a bunch of people that are workers in New Vrindavan, they're getting letters from the government, and that they're actually they have to go back to their country of origin.
The Latin American devotees.
They're from different countries, but and they were talking in the lunchroom or in the restaurant, and they're reading their letters that they say, you're going to have to go back to your country and then reapply. This is the way they kick them all out. It's
What's
really
going on? What is this?
it's just based. Trump said we're getting rid of all of the foreigners. He everybody has to have a boogeyman. A politician has to have a boogeyman that he can rail against. Like in with Hitler, it was the Jews. And so the new Jew in the 21st century are the migrants. And so that's why when he was debating with Kamala Harris, he said the Haitians are eating the cats, are eating the dogs, are eating the pets of the people who live here.
Yeah.
And so it was all a lie, but he just kept repeating it, and they keep repeating these lies, and people believe it. A great majority of the entire Republican Party believed everything he said about, and so it's really, really bad because Bhumi, the goddess of the earth, she said, I can, every planet has a representative demigoddess or god. And she said, as the earth, I can bear a lot of heavy things like mountains, oceans. They're very heavy, but I can't bear the weight of one liar. So these people are lying just to stay in power. They're using God's word to prosecute people. I mean, they bring up like the Bible says you can have slaves or whatever, and but the Bible actually talks about how Krishna is the source, is the human beings are made in the image of God. So if you're actually a child of God and made in his image, if you discriminate against one of Krishna's creations, a human being, just based on their skin color or country of origin, you're actually offending God himself. So it's not just a political thing. It's actually it's actually a religious offense to even think like that. It's in the first book in Genesis. I was wearing that T-shirt on the birthday celebration. It's called Imago Dei. It's Latin, which means in the image of God. Imago means image, and Dei means God.
Right.
So everyone is created in God's image. Women, men, Mexicans, Indians, they're all created in God's image. The human being has two hands. Lord Srila Prabhupada mentioned that as well. Krishna has two hands. Human beings have two hands. So you can't discriminate against Krishna's creation because that's an offense to him. And we should treat everyone, and Jesus taught we have to treat everyone like the Good Samaritan, like that story in the Bible where, you know, what is some lawyer came to Jesus and said, kind of challenged him. He said, how do we go back to heaven? And he said, what do you think it is? And he said, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. And then the second part of it is, Jesus said, and thy neighbor as thyself. And then the lawyer kind of like tried to get out of it, tried to make it, tried to finagle his way out of you know, the argument by saying, who is my neighbor? And Jesus answered the Samaritan. He talked about the Good Samaritan. The Samaritans were enemies of the Jews back then. They were like the migrants. They were hated and despised by the Jewish population. And so he said, the Samaritan, that this traveler had been beaten up and thrown in the ditch. He picked him up. He he took him to a hotel or a motel or whatever, and cleaned him up and gave him the innkeeper the money to take care of him. He said, "That is your neighbor, the Samaritan, who is like the enemy of the Jews. That's your neighbor."
Wait, why were they the enemy of the Jews if you don't? I'm
Because they were
sorry,
just
I don't know this because like I'm Jewish, so I don't like they don't teach us anything about Christianity. Like we don't
yeah,
Yeah,
get
and
yeah.
then
Well,
any
the Good Samaritan
I'm just
is a
confused.
very famous proverb parable in the Bible, where the Samaritan he picked just like Jesus says in Matthew 2, whatever it is, the 40th chapter of Matthew, 40th verse. It says, "As you treat the least of these, my brethren, you do that unto me." In other words, I was naked, you clothed me, or if I was like hungry and you didn't feed me, then you are not you as you do unto least of these, my brethren, you do unto me. So that's what I love about Christianity because it treats every living being, even the least of these, meaning the poor, the hated, like every civilization has a group that they don't like. Like my friend was from Philadelphia, and the Jews and the black or the blacks and the Italians didn't get along. So the immigrants are often a source of hatred because they think you're coming here and stealing our jobs or whatever the reason. But it's just anybody that's different. When the Hare Krishnas first settled on the ridge there in West Virginia, they would take pot shots at us from the road because we were different. So anybody that's different, they don't understand because they don't see equally, you know. So they just think that we're weird. So, but
Mm.
anyway, that's a really good parable um, about the Good Samaritan.
Where
If you
can I
look it
find
up, you
it?
can Google it, and but it is the Jewish people back then, they did not like the Samaritans.
Oh, okay.
They thought
Wait, where can I find this in the New Testament?
just look up I'll send you a story about the Good Samaritan, and that video, and a little excerpt from about the Guru
Okay.
of Lord Chaitanya's movement. I'll send you all of that.
Word, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks for joining. And my wife is going to serve out the food. I've got to go down there and offer it before
Okay.
7 o'clock. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I didn't know
Yep.
anybody was going to show up, but one of our recurring members has left, from the guy from Michigan. He's kind of permanently departed. So now we have Kyle, who I brought to New Vrindavan. He didn't show up this time, but I'm going to try to remind him. I
Okay.
reminded everybody this morning that we'd have a class, but hopefully next week Zivi Ozo will show up and we'll continue this because I
Okay.
really appreciate these talks. We have to.
Yeah, thank you so much. I don't ever really get a chance to talk to more like advanced devotees of Western origin. Like I just, we talked to Sham, but Sham is like, you
Sean's
know,
a really busy man.
he's
I've
so
tried to
busy. Exactly. That's what I was gonna
engage
say.
in a
He's so
conversation
busy.
with him on text, and he
Yeah.
never answers my texts, because
Oh,
he's very busy.
yeah.
But I'm pretty accessible because I don't do a damn thing. I'm just a lazy bum. My wife
Perfect.
is the one that wears the pants in the family.
Oh,
So
well, I'm not married, so I wish I could be a bum, but
yeah, I just make, I try to make some money by driving around. I'm sitting on my butt and driving around. So,
um,
that's what I do. But
Uber.
my wife is a home health nurse, and so she makes a lot of money, but
Oh, okay.
it's nice to have
Ah,
a partner like that. But anyway, who knows what's going to happen? But we're all getting older, and things in the material world are not looking that great. I'm still going to have this try to have Harinam in the book distribution at this event on the.
Yeah, I really want to come. I mean, I am totally down to be there in, my gopi skirt and duparta and I'll wear my tilak and
Yeah, it's really amazing. I went to get some pizza the other day on Friday. It's like takeout Friday. My wife works all the time, and so she doesn't want to like make any dinner on Friday, and I went down to the Domino's down here in Crafton Ingram Shopping Center, and they have a bunch of Indian cooks. They're all Indians. I guess it's an Indian franchise. And I just gotten off the Zoom class, and I was wearing my tilak.
Mm.
And I got to do that more often because she said, "Oh, you're Hare Krishna." And then I invited her to the program, and she got like an invitation to the Kirtan Center. It was
Mm.
awesome. If people can recognize you if you wear the um, the tilak and the dhoti or whatever, the sari or whatever, then people will understand that you're a representative of Krishna, and then they immediately remember Krishna too, especially if they're chanting,
Yeah.
chanting, dancing. So thank you very much, and we'll talk to you
Okay,
next
Hare
Tuesday.
Krishna. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right.